Good morning and welcome to the City of Rapid City Planning Commission meeting for June 9th, 2016. If any member of the audience wishes to speak to an item on the Planning Commission agenda, there are speaker request forms on the table along the left wall. Please fill out the request with the agenda number of the item you wish to speak to and hand it to the staff seated on the left of the dais. At this time, we'd like to ask that if any member of the audience has a cell phone or other electronic device, that you either turn it off or turn it to silent. If you need to take a call, please step out to the hallway so the meeting is not disturbed. Consent calendar. Items 1 through 9 have been placed on the consent calendar and may be approved as a group. Action will be taken on all consent items in accordance with staff's recommendation by a single vote. Any item may be removed from the consent calendar by any planning commissioner, staff member, or audience member for separate consideration at this time. The findings of this planning commission are recommendations to the city council. The city council will make the final decision with the exception of the following items. Item 6, 16 UR 014. Item 7, 16 UR 015. The Rapid City Planning Commission's actions on these items are final unless any party appeals that decision to the Rapid City Council. All appeals must be submitted in writing to the Community Planning and Development Services Department by close of business on the 7th full calendar day following action by the Planning Commission. Are there any items 1 through 9 that staff would like removed from the consent calendar?
Number 6, please.
Okay. Any items 1 through 9 that the Planning Commission would like removed?
9.
4 and 5.
Okay. And any items, we're down to 1, 2, 3, and 7, 8 that the audience would like removed. Seeing none, entertain a motion for the remaining items on the consent calendar, excluding 4, 5, 6, and 9. Linda made the motion. Is there a second? Jan seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Items 4 and 5.
Mr. Chair, I'll be abstaining from 4, 5, and 6.
Okay. Commissioner Skulls abstaining from items 4 through 6. I don't have any further items for 4 and 5. Staff have anything? Look for a motion on those two.
Move to approve.
Jan made the motion. Linda seconded to approve items 4 and 5 per staff recommendations, with Commissioner Skull abstaining. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6.
Thank you. Good morning. Item number 6 is 16 UR 014, conditional use permit to allow an oversized garage on approximately 1.38 acres of property located at 4120 Corral Place. This is about 600 feet east of the intersection of Corral Drive and Carriage Hills Drive. The applicant has the property is currently developed with a single-family residence with an attached garage. The applicant is proposing to construct an additional 40 by 46 foot garage consisting of 1,840 square feet. Take you through some slides now. Property is zoned low-density residential district and in an area comprised low-density residential district and developed with single-family residences on large lots. Aerial view of the property. The portions of the southern portions of the property located in this area, maybe where the garage is proposed. The area is appropriate for low-density neighborhoods, and Corral Drive is a collector street on the major street plan. There's a site plan showing the development of the proposed garage, the full site here on the left, and then a zoom in here showing the relationship between the existing house and the proposed garage. Floor plan shows that the garage is to be used for extra vehicle care or cover, primarily or RV and a boat. And there is a portion of the garage that's being dedicated for the shop, for the owner's personal use. Some elevations of the property: 2-stall garage, 1 story. Here's a look at the site with the sign posted on the property. You can see the single-family residence and attached garage in the distance there. This is a look at Corral Place, looking to the north, towards the existing homes on the right, additional residential development at the end of the cul-de-sac. This is Corral Drive looking to the east, and Corral Drive looking to the west, and looking back across the street on Corral Place towards the other side of Corral Drive. Again, a little closer look at the single-family residence on the property today. This is the residence of the property across Corral Place, so west across where the proposed garage is located at. A look at nearest residence across Corral Drive as well. During review of the application, staff did receive a letter in opposition to the request. You have a copy of that before you on the dais. The letter asserts that the property is being used for excessive garage sales in excess of what is allowed by the Rapid City ordinance today. And the opposition to this request notes that there is concern that these garage sales, if they're occurring, are expanding and growing in size beyond what would be typical for a garage sale in Rapid City. Staff should point out that the first stipulation of approval for this item is that the use of any of the garages on the site for commercial purposes is strictly prohibited. There are members in the audience here today to speak in opposition and in favor of the request. And with that, staff is available for questions, or is recommending that this application be approved and is available for questions at this time.
Thank you, Robert.
Mr. Chair, if I could just clarify. So in Rapid City, you can have a garage sale on your property up to 10 days per calendar year. And the merchandise that you can sell at your garage sale must be personal property. You cannot go out to other garage sales or secondhand stores or auctions and purchase property and bring it home just for the purposes of selling it. That's called consignment. So anything beyond that is considered a commercial use. If you exceed the 10 days or you purchase property for the purposes of resale, that is considered a commercial use. So that first stipulation would preclude that. Any property owner in Rapid City could have a garage sale up to 10 days per calendar year, so long as they're selling personal property only. Just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you. I do have a couple speaker request forms from Linda and Dennis Studer. Would you like to speak to the item?
Yeah. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, council members. I'm the homeowner. My wife is Linda Studer. She's here. First of all, I looked at the letter of opposition, and it looks to me like there's a couple areas in there that we should be addressed. The first one, and I'm not sure that I knew a lot about this, but the rummage sale issue is one that I'd like to apologize to the neighbors if they were excessive. First of all, I think my wife had a misunderstanding of what the regulations were. I think she thought they were 10 days, or 10, you could have 10 rummage sales, not 10 days of rummage sales. So again, I apologize to the 4 neighbors who came and signed a letter of opposition. So that's that part of it. I want to also say, before I talk about the garage itself, that the garage itself will never be used for rummage sales. I can guarantee you that. I'd put a letter of that, guaranteeing that with my letter of application for building this. There will never be a rummage sale out there. The garage itself is a result of us owning a property north of Pier. We had that property for a long time, big garage, cabin on the river, hunting and fishing, which I really do enjoy, and so last year, I had an opportunity to sell that cabin and all the content, all the garage, and of course, along with it, all my woodworking tools, my hunting equipment, my boat, everything was in there. So now I've got all that items, the personal item, in storage in 2 large storage units. And what the garage is for 2 things. Bring my woodworking equipment home, which I used to have up at Pier, and 2, bring all my hunting, my boat, and my other equipment back to my property so I can store it and use it out of the garage. Other than that, the garage itself, I have the contractor here with us from Skull Construction who can talk about the construction of itself, but I can tell you this, it will look like, it will have same materials as our house. It will have pillar windows. It will have the same garage doors as our house has. We put a new garage door in our house last year. It will have the same garage doors in that. So aesthetically, it will look just like the house. It looked like it was part of the house when we first built it. Now, if I would answer questions.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any speaker request forms from anybody else. Is there anybody else in the audience that would like to speak to this item? Seeing none, comments, questions from the Planning Commission? Galen?
Sure, I can start. I guess, to me, it seems, thanks to the neighbors for bringing this to our attention. And as far as I'm concerned, it's, the message is sent and received about garage sales, and I think that's over with. I see nothing wrong with the garage itself. I think I will move to approve this.
Thank you, Galen. Motion was made to approve it. Is there a second to that motion? Second. Jan seconded. Karen has a comment.
Thank you. I have an understanding of a large garage because my husband can't have a garage that's not large enough. That's kind of his thinking. But I noticed in the comments from the people who sent in the letter, they talked about what you would put in that garage other than rummage sale stuff. And you have a couple cars and a boat. And is there anything else that would, other than your equipment?
When we sold our place at Pier, I sold some equipment, another car that I pulled my boat with, and some other pieces of equipment. And I'd repurchase those and put them in there. They're hunting equipment. So,
okay. So you would have enough to fill that garage, is that what you're saying?
Eventually, yeah. I think they all get filled.
Yeah, I know that's true. And I agree with Galen that hopefully that the comment about the garage sales has, you understand the garage sales situation and wouldn't do that to disrupt the neighbors in the future.
No, again, I apologize to our neighbors. I am so sorry that they had to go had this anxiety about these, and we should have possibly we should have talked to them. I wish they would have talked to us. I'm really sorry. I apologize again.
I think in the future, any garage sales you might visit with your neighbors and make sure that they understand what's going on and stuff.
I agree.
The other comment that I am concerned about is I noticed in the pictures it is a flat area and real conducive to putting a garage there as compared to some other not so conducive spots. But I also see a lot of the homes out there are landscaped so that there's trees to buffer some of those large buildings out there, because there's a lot of large homes, out there also. And my curiosity is, how are you going to do that so that when people drive up, they don't see that big garage right there? They'll see it blending in with the neighborhood, and maybe that's part of your construction. I don't know, but I'd like to know that.
There will be retaining wall. There will be landscaping around it. I guess that's all I can tell you. There, we'll make it as aesthetically nice as we possibly can.
Okay, with some trees and that kind of thing. Rob, do you have anything further to add to that? Oh, I was asking Rob if he had anything to add to that.
I'm just making the site plan available if you wanted to review it.
That'd be good, thank you.
The site plan on the left here shows the entire lot. The plans submitted do not currently show any lands, and I should note that Corral Drive is down here. Plans submitted don't currently show any landscaping proposed between Corral Drive and the garage.
Okay, thank you. I guess for me, I just to fit into the neighborhood better, I'd like to see some trees on the other side, you know, as you come up Corral Drive. I don't know if that's good for the neighbors or not, but I'd like to know if that's a possibility.
That's a possibility.
Okay. Thank you. That's all the comments I have for now.
I had a couple, just kind of a follow-up to Karen, but when I was looking at the slides, the height of that garage is, how tall is that?
Can I have Adam answer
Yeah,
that?
The front wall is about 10 feet, and then we got a 412 pitch, so I think at the max, when you're looking straight at it, it's going to be about 17 feet. Adam Wagner, 937 Sycamore Street.
thank you. If I'm not mistaken from the pictures, Mr. Studer, the lot does fall away from the road, though, that you're lower, you know, at your location than you are at the road.
Yeah, falls from, starting at Corral Drive, it falls away down.
That's what I thought. Thank you. My second one, the stipulation that no commercial activities happen is pretty much as strong as we can get on this side of things. Is it not, Vicki?
Correct. And per the ordinance, it still allows them to have 10 days of garage sales on the property, but it is important to note that this is for personal property only. They cannot go and purchase items from other garage sales or secondhand stores or whatever, consign items to a garage sale. Very few homes have got enough product in them that it would warrant garage sales in excess of that.
Yeah, thank you. And I don't like to suggest these things, but if any issue further would be a code enforcement issue versus a planning issue for the parcel. And
Correct.
okay.
And Mr. Chair, Karen mentioned that she would like to see trees on the south side of the garage, between the garage and Corral Drive. Is that something that the motion maker and seconder would like to add as a stipulation?
I wouldn't. I don't think I want to add that. I think it's far enough back from Coral Drive myself and it's a big enough lot that I don't see it as something that I want to add in there.
Any comment?
I would like to note maybe from the neighbors if that's a benefit or not. If it's not a benefit, I don't want to put that on the homeowner, but if it would be something that the neighbors would think would improve that look of that garage, then I would add that.
Is it okay if I add something? Whether it's a stipulation or not, they'd be open to putting the trees in. We can put them in if we'd like, if you guys want us to. That's no problem at all.
Which one do
Hi, my name is Kay Strassel. I live at 4160 Corral Drive. And we were not aware of the magnitude of this garage previously. And so it took us by surprise to see how large it is. They have an oversized two-car garage, and when a garage had been mentioned, we thought that they were possibly going to add to their garage more space, maybe add a third stall, or build a second two-car garage, because the covenants are very specific about what you can put on your lot other than your residence and how big it is. And so we were surprised by the scale of this. It's so large. The footprint of it looks bigger than the house, the footprint of the house. It's so large. And in addition to the space that they already have, and the fact that the ordinance said, maximum of 1,500, this was like 1,000 feet over that, square feet over that. And so besides the commercial, we took notes of everything that everybody in the neighborhood was concerned about, and we tried to put together a document stating everyone's concerns. And then we came to listen and see, because we had never been to one of these before, and see how it was handled. And we were hoping that it would be held to the ordinance, the maximum that's allowed, and that the covenants would be looked into to see if it was needed approval to get past the covenants, because it just is, it's going to be like a barn amongst homes, from the way people feel about it. So I just wanted to get up and let you know what we're concerned about. We're concerned about the way it looks. We're concerned about how large it is. We're concerned about the intended use. Other concerns were the fact that it sets a precedent to go that much over what's already allowed, how it affects our property values. All those things came up when people were speaking about this proposed large building. So I was really hesitant to speak. I didn't want to. I wanted you to just go from the letter, but I felt like I had to let you know what all the concerns were from all of the people. And there were 12 letters sent out. 2 of the people were distant enough, and one was only a lot with no home on it, and the other one was accessed from a different street. So we didn't even include those 2 people, but of the remaining 10 people, 9 people had concerns. You can see 9 people voiced a variety of concerns on it. So
Thank you for voicing it. We do appreciate that.
okay. Thank you.
John Brewer?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The speaker brought up the covenants. Is there a homeowners association, or are there covenants in Carriage Hills? Provide for additional buildings?
I'll have the homeowner speak to that, but my understanding is yes, there is a homeowners association.
So there are covenants on the lots.
There are covenants. I don't know the details of those covenants.
Wouldn't they be part of this discussion?
Vicki?
Mr. Chair, just as a reminder, there's covenants on most all properties in Rapid City. The city's not a party to those covenants. We do not enforce covenants. That would be a civil matter between the property owners and the association.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. Karen?
I have to say that I am concerned about the size of the building, and partly that was my comments when I asked him what he's going to put in there, because from what I understood, he didn't have that much to put in there, and I'm trying to figure that out. Understanding that he's coming from Pier and bringing some of his equipment there, and knowing everybody likes a large garage. But part of the other comments that I had about the tree was to try to soften that size of that garage. I'm not sure how I would vote at this point, but I can understand the homeowner's reluctance in having a huge garage right in the front street. If it was in the back of the house, towards the back, it wouldn't be quite so bad, but it's right out there in front. That does have me concerned to some degree. I don't know what your covenants say, and I don't know if there's a size or an extra building. I don't know what those covenants are, but Vicki is correct. We can't enforce that. So if we knew what those were, that would help us, I think, a little bit in understanding your neighborhood and what you want to have in your neighborhood. But without knowing that, it's a little hard for us to say, well, you can have extra garage, but it has to only be a certain size. But if we vote to approve this, homeowners will have to take him to court or whatever to not have him do that, put an injunction of some kind so he doesn't build it. And that's a hard thing to do for neighbors to do to other neighbors, and I understand that also. So if anybody out there has an idea of what that covenant says about an extra garage or a size of a garage, I'd like to hear it, and if not, it's up to us to decide whether to put that garage in there or not. So I'll leave that up to you guys in the audience, because we don't know that answer.
Mr. Chair?
Vicki?
Yep.
Yep.
And I might see if Wade can weigh in on this, but we need to be careful when we start reviewing covenant requirements as a part of the city's review and approval. We've got criteria that we look at as a part of a conditional use permit, and what impact it will have on the neighborhood, and is the lot size sufficiently to meet all the setbacks and not exceed lot coverage, and looking at whether or not there is screening. So I'm cautious to include what individual covenants would say as a part of why we approve or deny an item. However, if the motion maker agrees, we did have the applicant concur to provide trees along that south lot line. So if we added a stipulation that said trees shall be planted between the proposed garage and the Corral Drive as proposed by the applicant, then I think that might provide the screening that some of you are looking for, soften the look of the structure for the neighborhood, and still allow the property owner to decide the type of tree and the placement of the trees.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
That's just fine with me. I'll soften my stance and say we can add that stipulation. So let's add that vegetative buffer on the southern edge there.
Did you have further comments, Keelan? Okay, the motion maker and second agreed to that. We do have that motion on the floor with the added stipulation of trees. I think at this point we should take a vote. All those in favor of this item with the added stipulation of trees along the south side, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Item number 9. I think this was pulled to give Kip a chance to.
Good morning. Item number 9 is 16 TP015, which is the Draft Transportation Improvement Program for 2017 through 2020. Every year we produce the Draft Transportation Improvement Program, which kind of summarizes all of the different roadway construction projects that are occurring throughout the region, state projects, city projects, county projects, etc. So I have put together a map for you. It's going to be a little hard to see here because of the scale, but I can zoom into things if you have questions on them as well. And then I'll give you a brief summary of them too. So I'll start with some of the big state projects that are occurring. The first one I have on the list is Interstate 90 from Tilford, which is exit 40, south to Piedmont, which is exit 44, and also the exit 44 interchange reconstruction, which will occur next year in 2017. It's about 4 miles of interstate, and it's quite a large project. Also on I-90 in 2020, the exit 59 LaCrosse Street interchange will be reconstructed. Some of you may be aware of the open houses that were held. That will be a really new concept for us called a diverging diamond, where there's one of those in Cheyenne. If you get a chance to drive it, it's really interesting, where you'll actually cross over to the other side of the bridge before you cross back. It really increases capacity on that interchange, especially with all the left turns, northbound to westbound left turns that occur on East North Street. And if anybody would like a little more detailed explanation of that, come see me afterwards and I'll be happy to show you a YouTube video or something. Also in 2020, I-90 exit 46, which is the Elk Creek Road interchange, will be reconstructed as well. So lots of I-90 construction coming up over the next few years, as if we don't have enough going on right now with I-190. But that hopefully will be done by then. In 2017, the center section of Mount Rushmore Road from Floorman to St. James will be worked on. Right now, the northern section from St. James to Kansas City is currently under construction. The southern portion's already done. When that's done, that'll be it for Mount Rushmore Road, hopefully for about the next 50 years. In 2018, South Dakota Highway 231, also known as West Chicago Street, that will go from, that will go from Sheffer Street, which is kind of behind Shooters there, comes out as a kind of cut across from West Main over to West Chicago, all the way up to Sturgis Road. 2018, full reconstruction of that segment. Also in 2018, the intersection of South Dakota Highway 44, Omaha Street, and East Boulevard will be worked on. There will be some intersection improvements there. And in 2019, the other section of South Dakota Highway 231, which is West Chicago Street and West Omaha Street, will be completed from Sheffer Street to Mountain View, and then Mountain View all the way to the widened area just west of 12th Street. So that will basically be 6 lanes all the way to Mountain View, and then continuing on over to Sheffer Street. So we'll have some more capacity on Omaha Street through the center of town there. And then a project out in Box Elder is Pennington County Road 1416, which is the road that cuts along parallel to the interstate to the south. The Department of Transportation will do some intersection improvement work at the intersections of Radar Hill Road and Commercial Gate Road, installing some left turn lanes, things like that, to increase safety on that road. Some of you may be aware that that was originally scheduled to be reconstructed completely from a 5-lane, possibly to a 3-lane. That was due to safety concerns. However, there have been some improvements in safety in that region, so the safety funds are no longer on the table. So this will be an interim project to increase some safety, but the number of crashes has decreased significantly on that roadway, so that there's not as much of a concern. And anybody wants to see these on the map, just please give me a holler and I'll zoom in on the map. Oh, I suppose I could put that up there too. Sorry about that. That map shows the entire area, so there, as you can see, there's a lot of big projects going on way up from the north end, up by Elk Creek Road, all the way down to Sheridan Lake Road on the south. And we'll get into some city projects. I've got one that's zoomed in a little bit better, and you can see, maybe see a little bit better on that. So these are some of the projects that the city's got going on in their capital improvement program. 2017 and 2018, the Jackson Boulevard and West Main Street intersection will be reconstructed. In 2017, Seeger Drive will be rebuilt from 143rd Street to North Lacrosse in 2017. Also in 2017, Anamosa Street from Milwaukee to Midway, which is this area right here. Anamosa has been done from Haines over to the east and then all the way over to Lacrosse. This is the middle segment that hasn't yet to be completed. That'll be done in 2017. 2018, we'll see a widening project on Catron Boulevard, which would make Catron 4 lanes, or 5 lanes actually, in both directions, all the way up and down the hill. So that roadway will be completely built out at that point. Also in 2018, East North Street from the Rapid Creek Bridge up around the curve to Herman Street will be reconstructed. In 2018, Sheridan Lake Road from Canyon Lake Drive north to West Main will be rebuilt along the guard camp there, and that should go to a 3-lane section with a center turn lane. That's kind of a tight squeeze in there, but I think we can make it work, and there will looking at acquiring some more right-of-way in that as well to ultimately build that to a 5-lane section way out in the future if that's ever required. Also on Sheridan Lake Road, there will be a project from Corral Drive to Catron Boulevard that takes place in 2020 and 2021. I don't believe the final design has been done on that yet, so I can't tell you what the details of that are. And also in 2021, North Maple Avenue from Disc Drive, which is kind of by Sears there, up north around the mall and up to Mall Drive will be rebuilt. I was just driving on that last night and that's in pretty rough shape, so that'll be a nice improvement. We've got a couple of large county projects to talk about as well, and I can zoom in on some of those. Meade County's got a few big projects going on. The first one of note is Elk Creek Road, or Elkville Road and Elk Creek Road. So Elkville Road will be paved from the county line all the way north up to Elk Creek Road. You can see it in green right over here. And then Elk Creek Road will also be paved from Elkville Road west to North Haynes Avenue. That will be completed next year in 2017. Also on the map, this yellow line, Erickson Ranch Road, will be paved from about half a mile north of Peaceful Pines Road and north for about 5 miles up to Elk Creek Road. It's another big improvement there. And this one doesn't show it on the map because it's a little out of there, but it's been in the news a lot, so I thought you might be interested, and that's Fort Meade Way, the new road that's considered a bypass around Sturgis. Meade County is looking at paving that in 2021. And there's some Pennington County projects. Some of these are shown on the map, some are not. The first is South Rochford Road from Rochford to Deerfield Road. That'll be paved in 2017. A big one on Sheridan Lake Road from Alberta Drive, which is just around Countryside, all the way west out to the junction with Highway 385. That'll be completed in 2018. That'll be pavement, regrading, shoulder widening, things like that. Should make that a nicer road. And then repaving and some grading work on Nemo Road from the North County line to about Palmer Road, which is this one in red right here. And that is scheduled for 2019 as well. It's kind of a summary of the big projects going on over the next 4 to 5 years in the region. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Karen?
Thank you, Kip. I think that's interesting so that anybody that's listening to the Planning Commission, they at least understand that there's a lot of construction that's going to come forward in the next several years. So I appreciate your comments and giving us an update. I have a question. When you mentioned something about Catron Boulevard,
Yes.
which side are you talking about, the west side or the east side?
Yeah, Catron Boulevard west from Highway 16 to Sheridan Lake Road.
Okay. And they're
But
gonna,
that is a city street. It's a city project, and that segment is a city street. That's not part of the state highway system.
right, and it's going to be how wide?
It should be 5 lanes all the way through.
5 lanes. Okay, great. Thank you.
And you'll also see the final transportation improvement program come through in July or August.
Amanda?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. May I ask Kip a question,
Yeah,
please?
go for it.
Thank you. First of all, Kip, this is probably the most well-presented outline of what our road projects in our region is going to be over the next 5 years, so thank you.
Thank you.
And then my question is, are you going to come before City Council and do this exact same thing? Because this was the best explanation of what our road plan looks like for the next 5 years.
I would be happy to do that.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Perfect. Karen made the motion to approve. Linda seconded. All those in favor of approval, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. Item number 10.
Mr. Chair, I'll be abstaining from item number 10.
Okay.
Thank you. Item number 10 is 16 PD 025, a final plan development to allow a car wash in conjunction with a convenience store with gas sales, located on approximately 2.6 acres of property in the new Buffalo Crossing subdivision located southeast of the intersection of Highway 16 and Catron Boulevard. Let me take you through some slides. Here's a look at the property. Currently zoned general commercial district. It's located within a planned development designation. I should note here that the applicant is not requesting any exceptions as a part of this development. However, they are proposing one double-sided 38.5 square foot LED message center to be located on a pole sign on the northeast corner of the property. As you're well aware, the Planning Commission has directed staff to bring all LED signs forward for their consideration. Aerial view of the property. This area is currently under development. You recently approved a hotel to be located on the property south, adjacent to the south of this one. There's also some ongoing residential development located on Healing Way, which you can see graded in there. Future land use designation of the property is mixed-use commercial. It is located within a community activity center and on the in the proximity of two gateway corridors to the city's on the city's comprehensive plan. You should take note here that we've had an ongoing discussion regarding signage in this area, and the comprehensive plan does not encourage pole signs or electronic signage in along entrance corridors and gateways. They are proposing one of those, so you'll have to take into consideration the effect that that sign will have on the neighborhood. Major street plan shows that Gatron and Highway 16 are both principal arterial streets on the city's major street plan. So look at the revised site layout. You're going to see the follow-up slide is going to have a slightly different layout, but we worked with the applicant over the course of this to revise the site plan to provide a little bit better access off of Healing Way, located at the east of the property. They do have a right-in only access at that point, and then the two located to the south off of Caregiver Circle. The other thing to note here is that 9 of the parking spaces that are being provided on the west side of the building are oversized for the parking of RVs and trucks if need be. They are proposing a dump station, however, you should note the stipulations of approval show that no overnight camping is to be permitted on the site. This is the landscaping plan for the property. It's, like I said, a little bit different. So this access is actually a right-in only now rather than a full movement access. They will need to bring in a revised landscaping plan to show the revised layout. However, their letter of intent does indicate that they'll be meeting all landscaping requirements. Look at the store layout. This is a holiday superstore. We've got one at Rushmore Crossing now, one under construction at East, North, and Omaha. So we've got several of these stores coming into town. The one at Rushmore Crossing is shown itself to be a pretty good store, so another one of those coming in. Building elevation showing the wall signage, square footage layout of the site, the canopy as well. A look at the proposed sign. The LED reader board is this sign here. As I mentioned, it's 38.5 square feet per side. That is within the requirements of the Rapid City Municipal Code, which allows a 60-foot per side LED reader board. The total height of the sign is 45 feet, which is also meets the requirements of the Rapid City Municipal Code. A look at the sign posted on the property today. A look at Catron to the west, Catron to the east. Healing Way is currently under construction right now. And Caregiver Circle, which will border it on the south, is also under construction. This is a look into the site from the intersection of Healing Way and Catron Boulevard. And then another look from Catron Boulevard looking into the site from the other direction. As previously noted, all requirements of the Rapid City Municipal Code for the General Commercial District are being met as a part of this request. However, the location of the pole sign and with the LED message center, the Planning Commission will need to have a discussion as to whether that is appropriate for the neighborhood, what impacts that might have. And if you do find that the LED message center and pole sign are appropriate for the area, then staff is recommending that the application be approved with the stipulations outlined in the staff report. We do have the applicant here and available for questions at this time, and staff is also available for questions.
Thank you, Robert. John Brewer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple of questions. I didn't quite understand the discussion about the right in only or right out only. So if you could kind of go through that, walk me through that a little bit more. And then a second question with regard to the signage. If it meets all of it in the code, then I'm not here to say that I don't like it or I like it. But I do have a question. Is there not a hotel site adjacent to this? Are they going to be there with a monument sign or a pole sign? Isn't there a hotel site on the property?
Actually, during the approval, you're right, there is a hotel being proposed on the south side of Caregiver Circle. As approval of that plan development, they did not include a pole or a monument sign as a part of that approval. And actually, the approval of that also stipulated that if they did come in the future with a pole or a monument sign, that would require an amendment to the plan development. So to answer that question, yes. Now, in terms of the site layout, I'll just bring this up again. This is the site layout that they have proposed as a part of this. What they're showing is a right-in only access off of Healing Way, which is currently under construction. During review of the application, Public Works staff noted, and I'll let Ted follow up, Public Works staff noted that full access turning movements onto Healing Way could have impacts on the traffic in the area and did not meet design criteria. So we worked with the applicant to see if we could come up with an alternative design. This is what they proposed, which does meet the criteria, as I understand it, for an access point. And if you have additional questions, I direct you towards Ted.
I guess if you could take the marker and show me, if a right-in only means they're coming off of Catron and then heading west, and then they'll cross oncoming traffic, right? No?
So yeah, so if regardless of what direction they came in through Catron Boulevard, whether it be eastbound or westbound, they'd turn on to Healing Way, and then the only way to access this particular lot from Healing Way would be a right turn into the site, which would allow them to access or circulate however they needed to. They would exit the site onto Caregiver Circle and then back onto Healing Way. Is that clear?
That's what I was looking for. So the exit point is?
The exit point would be the intersection of Caregiver and Healing Way there.
So you'll, okay, got it. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Robert, while that's up, can you circle the sign location?
Certainly. Right here.
Okay, thank you. Karen.
Thank you. I have spoken to several of the neighbors that live right directly on that side, and I know one of them has called you, Rob, for sure, because she mentioned that to me. The neighbors in our subdivision are not opposed to the gas station being there, and actually I'm glad that the car wash is on the west side, that, you know, just because that, in case of noise and stuff like that. They're not opposed to that. They're a little concerned about the traffic, but eventually there will probably be a light there, I'm guessing, because of the traffic coming and going through that area. The top of that area is pretty flat, and because this is a planned development, we have the option to say the sign. It's the signage that is bothering the neighbors. It really is, and we have the option through the plan development to say that's not appropriate, that size, that LED. Do we
Yes.
have a chance to make that decision, correct?
Yes, you do.
Okay. Listening to the neighbors, the big concern of theirs is obviously the LED sign. It will go right into their backyards and where they sleep and that kind of thing. And is that an appropriate place for an LED sign? Eventually there's going to be commercial, we know that, through that corridor. But this is the very edge of that commercial spot. And to put that LED sign there is disturbing to the neighbors, you know, because it's so blatant and it's so tall. 45 feet is a large sign. I thought, in talking to some of the neighbors, I said, could they move it to the east, to the west side of their property, which would take it away farther from the neighbors? That would be a benefit. To lower it would be a benefit. I know that the comprehensive plan that we've all adopted says that through this area should be monument signs, no pole signs. And so this is our opportunity to say, what do we want for this neighborhood? Do we want pole signs? Once you start one, everybody's going to want a tall pole sign so everybody can see it from, and I understand the commercial end of it, why you need that. But this is our opportunity to say, here's what we have in this neighborhood, not just for the people who live there, but for the commercial area and what it's going to look like for Rapid City as all this area develops. Do we want to have big pole signs that eventually, I always look at 8th Street and say, you know, Mount Rushmore Road's got all these signs. But this gives us an opportunity to tell the world we live in a place that we respect the environment, we respect the landscape and what we're going to see out there. And I think that monument signs in this area would be a real benefit. The hotel's going to have a monument sign. If they do, they'll have to come back, but that's kind of the idea. And they haven't suggested that they're going to do a large pole sign, but if they put a large pole sign, my guess is the hotel's going to say, well, now we have to advertise and want a large pole sign. So I don't know what the answer is as far as approving this. I'd like to approve this plan development, but I don't like it with the signage the way it is. I'd like to see it either lowered, moved, or no LED, one of those three things, or all of those three things. So I'm going to listen to any other comments that we have up here before I make a motion, but that's the concern of the neighbors. And I know that a couple of them that I talked to said they couldn't be here because they work, and so there's some concern, but I'm trying to voice their concern as well as mine. So
I've got a light up from Galen, but I also have a speaker request for him from Kyle Trelor. If you'd like to speak now, you can, or you can wait for. Would you like to speak now, Mr. Trelor, or?
Good morning. I'm Kyle Trelor with KTM Designs. We've been working with Holiday Station Stores to develop this site, and a coordinated effort as they've brought multiple stores and made, you know, a significant investment in Rapid City right now. Essentially, the sign, the reader bore sign, is very important to the station store where it sits. They actually have, you know, they looked at the Rapid City zoning code. They made adjustments. They said, you know, we'll meet all the requirements of Rapid City code. And so they've got the sign set at those dimensions for that reason. These are the same signs that they've got at their other locations, also located on entranceway corridors. So I just wanted to point those few things out. And then secondly, as you can see from this exhibit here, this one is probably even more important than the other ones, as in we have an oversized right-of-way at this location. We have Catron Boulevard, which was recently moved to the north. Used to sit closer to the site, but it was moved to the north. Our site actually sits, and the sign sits, over 160 feet away from the road. And so we actually drop grade going into the site. So, you know, it's hard to envision a monument site that we can set that far away that could really, you know, effectuate the purpose that we needed to. Kind of to go forward on the Holiday Inn on the other side, they haven't proposed a sign that is a 44-story tall Holiday Inn hotel, and they've assumed so far that the signage on the building itself is going to be adequate for their needs. So I just wanted to make those comments and point that out. The sign is located where Holiday Station Stores really would like to see it. They have met all of the requirements of the zoning code. And so I just wanted to point those things out, and if you have any other questions, I'm available to answer them.
Thank you. Galen?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thanks, Karen, for being a voice for that neighborhood and getting those concerns out here. Can we maybe pull up the actual sign again and maybe point out which parts are lighted and LED, because I really don't see a problem with the sign myself, so I'm probably going to vote to keep it where it's at.
So as I noted previously, the LED message center is located right there. It measures 9 foot 3 inches wide by 4 something tall, 38.5 square feet per side. Maximum of 60 square foot per side is what's permitted by Rapid City Municipal Code. I imagine these are interior lit cabinets for this one, and then this is your price board. So the digits there would light up as well. So it's a combination of interior illuminated cabinets and the LED message center.
So it's smaller than, I mean, you're not going to get away from the price boards, and that smaller, lower part is pretty minimal impact, I guess. It's smaller than, it's not your typical LED flasher type sign. So I think the impact should be pretty small for the neighborhood myself, but I guess that's for those that live there to decide. So.
John?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just note, as I said earlier, if the sign meets all the qualifications, I could refer to the comprehensive plan, but I think Galen has asked and maybe pointed out, it looks to me like that lower part of the sign is going to be really close to about the height of the building, is it not, as it goes through, as opposed to the top part that might...
Yes, actually, the height of the building is 22 feet. This sign is 45 feet tall. The LED message center is about halfway up that, so it should be comparable to the height of the building, yes.
Okay, so I guess probably of the comments that you made, yes, it conforms to the sign code, and I wish when people came forward, they would also address our concerns with regard to our comprehensive plan. It's a good document. The community spent a lot of time working on that, as did this commission and the city council. And so I appreciate Karen's remarks on that, but we still haven't made that marriage between the comprehensive plan and the code. So not here to say anything about that. But I would make the comment here. Unlike your other locations, you are adjacent to and will continue to be even more around residential as opposed to pure commercial gateways as up at the crossing and on the north. And so I think probably this commission needs to be aware when people come forward with these plans that when we're mixing up these neighborhoods with commercial, residential, other uses, that we do concern those. So having said all that and mumbled around for a while, I'm going to make a motion to approve per the staff recommendations.
John made the motion to approve per staff recommendations. Galen seconded that motion. I've got a light up from Amanda Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. May I ask a question, please?
Sure.
Thank you. Just to follow up on Karen's, Robert, could you bring up the plan that showed the write-in again? Yes. So when we're talking about, when Karen said residential, where is the residential? Is it shown on here? Is it, because I'm seeing 3 corner lots. Is it that close on the other side of Healing Way?
Allow me to move to a different map.
Okay.
This is the zoning map for the property, and this wedge aside, 100% accurate. The residential neighborhood that Karen hails from is over here. About 500, 600 feet to the east of the commercial lot. Healing Way drops down this line. It is residentially zoned on the east side of that. That orange is medium density residential district. The yellow is low density residential district. You have recently approved a planned development to allow a mix of townhomes and single family residences to be located on this property here. You're correct, we're assuming that we're going to see more residential and a mix of different densities and uses located on the east side of Healing Way.
So then, where is this proposed tentative hotel going?
Do you see, or it's this right here.
Okay.
That's the, and they've pulled a building permit for that too, so that's currently under construction.
Okay, and so then to follow up on Karen's question, because I don't know what the topography of this lot looks like, but is there a reason why the sign needs, I mean, basically a sign is to get recognition, and the road to turn in on is going to be Healing Way. Is there a reason that the sign could not be moved more west along that road and not directly, because it would move it further away from the residential properties?
There is nothing in ordinance or the comprehensive plan which would require that the sign be located on the northeast corner of the property. The applicant has the option of placing the sign anywhere on the property so long as it meets municipal code and the sign code.
Okay, thank you. Can we follow up with, hi, Kyler? So I know you were saying that this is where the property owners wanted the sign, but again, the purpose of the sign is just to let people on the road know that they're there and that what the gas price is, and I get that, just like Karen said, I get that. Is there a specific reason why the sign has to be in that northeast corner rather than move to the west?
Sure, and here's the reason why. Catron Boulevard, let me see if this thing works, but at this point right here, this is basically the crest or the highest point of Catron Boulevard. As you're coming up from, as you're traveling westbound on Catron Boulevard, you're coming up a fairly steep hill. And so locating the sign here gives those travelers, those tourists, time as they crest that hill to actually, make this turning movement. The fact that the site sits in so far because of this oversized right-of-way kind of, points to the need to have this here as far in that direction as we can get it. If we set it back on the other side of the property, now you crest that hill, it becomes a little, there's a potential that, one, you drive right by it, or you miss the turn-in because you don't realize exactly, where what's going on.
So, and thank you for that explanation, because I think that's the point that was missed as far as why this sign needs to be in that northeast corner, is because I was trying to remember, and you described it, it's the topography of this lot and trying to catch the traffic coming and going on both that east and west side.
Correct.
All right, thanks for that explanation. I yield you.
Thank you. Karen?
Thank you, and thanks for asking for that explanation. If you are coming up from the east, there is a large hill that you have to go to the top. Once you get to the top of the hill, though, you can see Mount Rushmore practically from that top of that hill. It's not as steep at the very top, and coming around from like where I turn off, there's a curlicue thing there that I can turn and go into my development. Have to go back around, but once you get to the top, it curves, and people are supposed to be driving 45 miles an hour, and you can definitely see all the construction, everything that's going on right there, and that's on the ground. I can't see that tall of a sign is going to make that much difference. If you're coming up east from the east on that slope, sure, if you're several hundred feet away, you can probably see it, I suppose, but from that distance, you'll be able to see all that commercial development in a gas station right there pretty easily. Coming from the west, you got plenty of opportunity to see that gas station right there. I think the problem that I have with the tall sign is there used to be a billboard right there in that location, and I can see it from my house, and that's several thousand feet away, and I could see it over the top of all the houses that were there, and so even I'll probably be able to see that gas station sign from my house, over the top of all those houses. It is just a large sign for that neighborhood, and I don't know, moving it over, that would help a lot, even at 45 feet. I'd love to see it lower, and I can understand the commercial end of it and you have to have gas prices and things like that, but those neighbors that are right behind that sign are going to see that sign. There's no doubt, even at the low end. When you showed the picture of the sign, you could see that little person right there. That's going to be low enough that you're going to be able to see the sign and the LED from those neighbors' houses. And I just think from the comprehensive plan standpoint, which said, this is an entrance corridor, it said to prohibit pole signs if possible. We have the chance to do that right here. We have the chance to set a precedent that says we're going to try to make our community less obtrusive and more environmentally friendly, so people realize when they come to our town that we have a place where we like our environment. We like to be able to see other things besides commercial pole signs and buildings and those kinds of things. And so I can't support the motion on, as it stands, because I just think there's alternatives that can be made that would help the neighborhood and help us stick with our comprehensive plan. And we had that ability to do that today by making changes to this. So I'm not going to vote for the motion, obviously. So thanks.
Jan?
Yes, I'd just like to point out that I can understand the convenience factor and the commercial factor of having the sign where you have to turn off the road as opposed to being, whatever it is, 400 feet away from where you have to turn in to get to the commercial. The enterprise, that doesn't mean I'm going to vote for it, but it does mean that I understand why you'd want to do that. Thank you.
Okay, seeing no more lights, we do have a motion on the floor by John, seconded by Galen, to approve this per stipulations. Let's take a vote on that. All those in favor, please say aye. 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 Opposed?
No.
I believe there's just the one no, so the motion carries. Item number 11.
We have a major amendment to a plan development to reduce the rear yard setback for an existing structure. The applicant's proposing to construct a roof over an existing deck. Property is on low-density residential district. It's on the east side of Sheridan Lake Road, which is identified as a principal arterial street in the city's major street plan. The property to the west in this area is owned by the city and is used as drainage and is the location of public utilities, so it's not going to be, there's not a house back there. The request is to reduce the rear yard setback from 25 feet to 14.7 feet. Here you see the existing property. It's a townhome. It's located on Broadmoor Drive. We've got a line of vegetation here and space along the east side of Sheridan Lake Road. The applicant's request to cover the deck is because Sheridan Lake Road is a heavily trafficked street, and to provide some additional privacy from the noise of that traffic, the applicant is wanting to enclose or put a roof over the deck. Area's future land use designation is low density neighborhood. There you can see Sheridan Lake Road, principal arterial street. Some elevations. This one shows it's an elevated deck. I believe they're planning on demoing the existing deck and building a new one and extending the roof to cover that deck. Here we have the site plan. This is a plan. This property is located in a planned development with Broadmoor Street being private streets. That's why it's Broadmoor Drive being a private street. There are existing setback reductions through the planned development. However, the rear yard setback to the deck, it's currently 16.7 feet, and the roof would reduce that to 14.7 over the covering the deck. Here's a picture of the townhome on Broadmoor Street looking west, looking to the south, to the north, and other dwellings located in the neighborhood. And this is looking at that area, looking south along Sheridan Lake Road, the city-owned lot, and the vegetation and location of public utilities. Staff is recommending that the major amendment be approved with stipulations noted in the staff report. Are there any questions for staff?
Thank you, Fletcher. I don't see any.
I'll move approval.
Karen made the motion to approve. John seconded. Seeing no further lights, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Item 12.
Thank you. Can we take items 12 and 13 concurrently?
Please.
Items 12 and 13. Item 12 is a final or an initial plan development to allow an automobile repair shop. It's been submitted in conjunction with item 13, which is a request to rezone property from low-density residential district to light industrial district. Little history. Today there is an existing automobile repair shop located on the same property, 10-acre parcel with an existing single-family residence. The applicant is proposing would like to continue to operate the business. However, auto repair shop is not a permitted use in the low-density residential district. So he submitted the rezone request to allow that use to remain on the property. The use is designed on the property today would require a couple things that currently aren't being provided. The primary thing being a screening fence to be located on the area where they're storing their vehicles. The applicant's proposing one exception to waive the request as a part of the plan development to waive the request for the screening fence and to allow the site to remain essentially as it is. I'll take you through some slides. As you can see, the property is zoned low-density residential district. You should note that property to the north, to the south, and to the west is located in Pennington County. This property is the only lot on the west side of Dias at this point in the city that's actually located within the city limits. Property to the east is on light industrial district. You've got the WL Plastics manufacturing plant there, as well as a couple other commercial and light industrial uses. Here's a look at the aerial view of the property today. Note that this is just the northwest corner of the entire 10-acre parcel. This parcel is comprised of about 2 acres, or 1.6 acres, I believe. The applicant, or the proposed site layout, and I apologize, I should have noted this as well. The applicant has also submitted an associated preliminary subdivision plan to create 2 lots, this lot and the other single-family residential lot, to allow the auto repair business to be located on its own lot, zone light industrial district in a plan development. The proposed lot that they are showing here, the area of the rezone, does meet all land area regulations, so they're providing the minimum necessary setbacks for everything. The area of the proposed parking lot would be right here, which you'll see on your site plan here in a moment. Future land use shows it as appropriate as an urban neighborhood. In an area where you've got a mix of residential and commercial uses, especially on the fringes of the city, urban neighborhood can support neighborhood serving commercial uses such as a repair business. Dias Avenue is a minor arterial street. Here's a look at the site plan as they're proposing it. They are proposing to pave the vehicle storage area located adjacent to the east of the property. No other additions, expansions are proposed to the structure for the shop, the single-family residence. I'll look at that site again in relationship to the entire 10-acre parcel. No additional development is being proposed. There's a look at the property today with the rezone and plan development signs posted. As you can see, that's the area there where the vehicles are located at today, where they are proposing to pave and stripe a parking lot in. If that's the location for where they would be storing vehicles, typically that would be required to be screened with a 6-foot tall screening fence. The applicant is proposing to waive that requirement. This is a look at Dias Avenue to the south. You can see WL Plastics across the street. Dias Avenue to the north. Some of the other commercial activities are located on the east side of Dias. And a little bit closer look at both of those uses in the area. This area, while shown to be primarily residential, in practice is starting to develop more as a light industrial area. We are starting to see more industrial uses coming into the area. Look at from the road so you can get a sense of where that shop is located at in relationship to the single-family residence and the amount of space that they do have on the property. And one more view at the property today. Getting the parking paved and getting these vehicles moved off of that onto the parking should be a real benefit to help cleaning up the area. Given the remote location of the property and given the fact that it's an existing business today, staff is recommending that that exception to waive the required screening fence to be approved and that the plan development be approved with the stipulations noted in the staff report, and in conjunction with the rezone. Staff is available for questions at this time.
Thank you, Robert. I don't see any questions or comments. Galen made the motion to approve 12 and 13. Jan seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 14.
Good morning, members of Planning Commission. I'm Sarah Hansel, Long Range Planner. Item number 14 is a comprehensive plan amendment brought forth by the Rapid City Arts Council to adopt the draft Experience Rapid City Cultural Plan update. Myself, along with Pepper Massey, who is here today, she's the Executive Director of the Dahl Arts Center and representing the applicant, the Rapid City Arts Council. We will give a brief overview of the plan. The previous cultural plan, Many Voices, was adopted in 1993, and it guided the vision for several cultural facilities in Rapid City, including the Journey Museum, the Rapid City Public Library expansion, the Dahl Arts Center expansion, and the Performing Arts Center. Most of the priorities in that plan have been accomplished. However, the plan's earlier commitment to respect cultural diversity is yet to be fully realized, and that's a large component of this plan update. The cultural plan was the cultural plan was a 10-month process, broadly inclusive, and was spearheaded by the Rapid City Arts Council and made possible through a generous donation. The plan was formed by the involvement of nearly 850 local citizens and community leaders, as well as 40 steering committee members to oversee the planning process. The project initiated in late 2014 with early research, discussions, and organizing. In early 2015, a cultural assessment identified cultural resources, critical needs, and opportunities for the creative and cultural sector using a community survey, focus groups, questionnaires, interviews, and public meetings. In September of 2015, 6 task forces reviewed the assessment and formed goals that constitute the heart of the plan. In January 2016, the steering committee approved the task force recommendations and such brought this plan forward to the public review process as a sponsored item by the Planning Commission. The 6 overarching goals for the plan are cultural equity, education for creativity, cultural tourism, local audience development, nonprofit organization sustainability, creative economic development, and cultural leadership. The cultural plan aligns with 4 of the city's comprehensive core values and 43 of its goals. And the appendix of this plan includes a table which shows where those overarching goals are. The plan focuses on outcomes requiring community-wide resolve, collective action, public policy, or initiatives that go beyond the interests or capacity of one organization or sector. And I believe there are some members of the audience today who are here to address their involvement with the plan, and I can turn that over to them at this point, or we can address any other questions.
Thank you, Sarah. I do have a speaker request from Mallory Schwan.
Good morning, my name is Mallory Schwan. I live at 410 44th Street here in Rapid City. I was a member of the steering committee of the Rapid City Cultural Plan, and I also chaired the task force for goal number 4, nonprofit organizational sustainability. I'm here as a representative of the plan, happy to answer any questions about our process or what we've outlined here, and just to say thank you for taking the time to review this cultural plan and hopefully get it approved as part of the long-range planning for Rapid City. Thank you.
Thank you. That's the only speaker request form I have. I'll go to John Brewer.
First of all, I'd like to say this is really a wonderful addition to the comprehensive plan. I congratulate the people who did the work on it. The inclusion of a large number of community leaders and citizens that are truly interested in the cultural development of this community. So I've printed out the plan. Matter of fact, I've just been sitting here going through it for maybe the 3rd or 4th time, and I really like the goals. I like the way it's laid out, and I like to once again just commend the people that did a lot of work on this to add this to our cultural plan. I think it really speaks to core values of this community with regard to the development of this part of the plan. So, having said all that, I don't have a question about any of the plan. I think it's just laid out very well and whatever. I am looking, however, for one thing, and that is I didn't count the number of times creative was used for everything. So, and I understand, having been involved in some of the art over the several decades in this community, that is the creative part of our community. But some definition to that in some of the uses would have been helpful, or possibly other adjectives that would have been descriptive, would have helped me. Many other people probably have a better sense of creativity. So just for the record, it's a great thing, and I don't know whether we have to approve this or make a motion to move it on or what we have to do here, but as far as the public hearing part of it is, I think it's a wonderful thing. And are you looking for a motion to approve this and going up? Well, I'm pleased to make that motion.
Okay. John made the motion, Jan seconded to approve this amendment to the comprehensive plan. Linda?
Well, I just want to be on record. I am so excited about this plan and the details that went into to develop a plan that is so reflective of the cultural part of our community. Thank you.
Thanks, Linda. Further questions or comments on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. 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 Opposed? Motion carries. Any discussion items, staff items, other items? No items. Motion to adjourn, I'd look for that. Karen made the motion, Galen seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.